Hello everybody, so here we are in the world of Fallout 76, and this is kind of my review for what it's worth. I'll probably put, I don't know, about a dozen hours into Fallout 76, but I wanted to share my views on it, and also the fact that if you're watching this in or around the 13th, 14th, 15th of June 2019, you can download and play Fallout 76 for free on PlayStation, Xbox and PC. This is playing on an OG PlayStation. Fallout has been installed to the external SSD hard drive, so it probably loads a little bit better. So download it, play it, give it a good few hours so you can get a good flavour of the game and whether you'll like it. But these are my thoughts. So I guess the first question you've got to answer is, what is Fallout 76? Is it like a normal Fallout game that we've had before? New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, that sort of stuff. And the answer is it's a bit different. We have this massive open world that we can move around, and it's also multiplayer, so there's other players moving around in the same instance of that world that you're in. So you'll join a server. I mean, you don't see all this joining. You join the world, and then as you're running around, you'll bump into other players. Say when you're doing events or just wandering around, and you can get involved in player versus player combat, but that's not really a big part of it. For the most of the time, though, as soon as you move away from the vault and the main towns, you're pretty much by yourself, working your way through a single player game. Now, you've also got in Fallout 76, which they've just added, I'm not sure how long it's going to stay for, it might disappear and come back again, there's a Battle Royale mode with, I think, 52 players, and I've done a video on that, and it's kind of okay. I don't think the Fallout engine is really good at producing a really great first-person or third-person shooter, but it is there. And then obviously you can play Fallout however you want. You can play it as a survival game, you can follow the story, you could link up with friends, lots of different things you can do in the world. Now, does it run well? It runs okay on my OG PlayStation. When you're getting into an urban area like a town and there's plenty of enemies, say, chasing you or doing something, the frame rate does drop quite a lot. But overall, it looks pretty good, especially when you're out in the countryside. This environment is, I think it looks beautiful a lot of the time. The game, and you can't underestimate the quality of these titles, these AAA games, for just the storytelling that's in the environment. As you're wandering around, and there's the towns that are all destroyed, and the little villages, and the dead bodies, and that it's building up inside yourself. The story of what's happened without explicitly telling you, what's happened. In Fallout 76, basically what happens, this is, I think it's 50 years after the nuclear war. So it's a prequel to Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. And your vaults, the people in your vault, their task is to help rebuild this area of America, Appalachia, or West Virginia, it is. But when you get out of the vaults, everybody's dead. It's like, ooh, what's happened? And your vault overseer, who went out first, you're kind of following her footsteps to kind of find out what has happened and what you're going to do about it. And then, of course, there's then dozens and dozens of side missions that you can do as well. And it's all about leveling up your character, becoming stronger, getting more perks. You have these perk cards that you can apply to your character. I'm not really quite sure how it works. Just, you make the numbers go up, basically. You can get armor, get lots of different stuff as you're wandering around. It sounds great. The music kind of comes in and goes out and changes as you get into dangerous situations. It gets nice and peaceful when you're out into the countryside, and then more strident when you get into dangerous situations. Of course, there's crafting in it. It's got survival elements. You've got to drink, you've got to eat, you've got to apply your Radaway or your stim packs to make yourself better. The gunplay actually is better than I thought it would be in the kind of the adventure mode. In the Battle Royale, I wasn't that impressed with it, but in the adventure mode, it's not too bad when you're taking on the AI enemies. It's alright. You can use VATS, where you kind of go into this percentage chance hitting system, or you can just aim down sights and do stuff like that. And overall, I've really enjoyed my time in Fallout 76, wandering around Appalachia. And as I said before, I enjoy just wandering around the environment and just looking at what Bethesda have built. And it helps with the immersion of where you are. Now, I do have a bit of trouble getting used to the Fallout, what could I call it? It's almost like the culture of the game, you know, where you have the Pip-Boy, and as you level up, there's all these funny sounds that are happening and these little icons that appear. I kind of think that style is really at odds with the reality of where you are in the nuclear post-apocalyptic world, and the fact that there's like all these dead bodies around and crash sites, and it's like, well, that's really nasty that, but you've got this light-hearted way of progressing and leveling up your character that way. What I will do with this video is, after I finish talking, I'll just let it run so you can just watch it and see what happens. At first, I was kind of the opinion that they should have just done this as a single-player game, because when you're first playing, what happens when you come out of the vault and you're doing the first missions, which are basically tutorials showing you how to make food, use your weapons, that sort of stuff. There's other vault dwellers around you doing the same thing at the same time, and it kind of breaks the immersion of the game. You know, it's very obvious that you're playing a video game and they're playing a video game, and that breaks that. However, once you come out of that area and you're by yourself, you can then get immersed again. And then where the multiplayer really came into its own, and you'll see this later on in the video, was I was in this town looking for this mayor, the mayor of Grafton, I think it is, and you have these events that happen. So all of a sudden, you might get something like a supply bot comes in, or in our case, it was the Grafton monster appeared, and that these other guys were already fighting this monster. So I kind of got in and started helping them shooting this monster, and all of a sudden you're working with other people to achieve an aim, and that was really cool. And then I got downed and I asked for help, and someone came and revived me, which was really cool. So that changed my mind about how multiplayer adds to your experience in game. I didn't have to talk to anybody, but we just came in, we shot at bad guys together, and then we carried on our separate ways. Eventually I do die in this video, but respawning isn't really a problem. If you die, you just lose some of your scraps and some of your odds and sods, and then you just choose to respawn somewhere nearby at a fast travel point, and you can go back and pick up like a paper bag with your bits in if you want to. What you're also really meant to do is, before you go into a dangerous area, you've got like this mobile camp that you carry with you. You can put that down and you can use that to do various things. But overall, I've enjoyed my time in Fallout 76. It's a lot better than the initial reviews and comments would have you believe when it first came out, and it got absolutely panned. And what's quite exciting is that, from what we can understand, Bethesda are working on like the new Skyrim game, aren't they? And another big game at the moment. So there isn't going to be another Fallout like Fallout 5 for a long time. And so what they're doing is they are supporting Fallout 76 and improving it. So we've got to look forward to things like they are introducing NPCs, non-player characters, because at the moment the only characters in the game are robots, the feral people and the scorched and the super mutants, but there's no other there's no other people, you know, who you can go up to and take quests from. It's all audio logs or computer terminals, so that does feel a little bit empty. But they are reintroducing non-player characters back in, and they're probably going to do as much as they can to improve how the game plays and the experience you have in the game. I think what they're really doing is they're putting resources in to turn it into more of a traditional Fallout game. Maybe when they were making it, they had in mind just kind of this stopgap, if you like, between the big, the numbered Fallout releases. and it was never meant to be treated as a massive, full Fallout release. But as I say, I think it looks great, it sounds great, it plays okay, it runs okay, it's pretty immersive at times. Now, should you buy it? That's the question, is it? You probably say, well, is it worth the money, Rob? And I think when it's in a sale, it's worth the money. Now, I think at the moment on the PlayStation it's about £30, which for me is too expensive still. I would probably pay, if I didn't have any other games to play like this, and at the moment I'm kind of playing DayZ, which is sucking up a lot of my time, and this is just like a AAA DayZ really, with lots more in it, and without permadeath. If I didn't have, I would, and if it was about £20, or I guess $25 or a similar price in different currencies, I would say it's definitely worth buying if you like this sort of game. If you like Fallout games, if you like games where you're wandering around just kind of exploring and then leveling up, yeah, I would say this is definitely worth looking at. If you're after a hectic shoot 'em up like a PUBG or a Call of Duty or a Battlefield or something like that, no, this isn't that sort of game. This is an adventure game where you're wandering around this beautifully detailed and created environment, and following storylines and getting into emergent gameplay situations with other players if you come across them. And for that, yeah, I would definitely say it's probably worth about £20. Yeah, so there we go. So Fallout 76, download and play it for free now, so you can have your own idea. Make sure you put a fair bit of time into it though. Don't just play it for like half an hour, because you'll have to get used to the controls and the style of the game. And then, if you really like it and it's on sale, why not pick it up? So anyway, that's enough from me. Put your questions and comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. You can always support the channel through the Patreon link. And, well, I'll see you again soon.
Attention, this is Grafton's mayor with a priority message. Workers are planning an illegal protest here in Grafton. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby deputize any and all armed citizens to quell this impending riot. Grafton Steel is a major contributor to my campaign, and therefore could not possibly be guilty of everything they're saying. Welcome to Grafton. I bet you weren't expecting a computer to be Grafton's mayor. Well, let me tell you, I used to be the mayor's assistant, but when he stopped showing up for work, I ran for office. I am eminently qualified, and the town unanimously elected me 1-0. Unfortunately, you are a wee bit early for tourist season. But this is your lucky day. Help us get ready for the upcoming flood of eager tourists, and I'll knock a whole 5% off the cost of all attractions. We have 4 major attractions around here. Wavy Willards, the Clarksburg Shooting Range, Cricket Sport, and a black bear hunting lodge. Go out there and get each of them ready. I'll wait here, because I don't have legs, and I can't move.
Overseer's Log, Grafton. The mayor of Grafton used to be the automated assistant, and it's gone completely mad. Still trying to run the town. Even holds elections for himself. We built these machines to do things without us, and they have. Might be useful if I played along.